Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the EUphoria podcast. It's season 11?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Yeah.
I'm Drakos, joined by Caedrel. It's just us today.
It's going to be a weird one today, I can tell you that for a fact.
The energy is electric.
We were looking for guests and everyone was like, no, we don't
We
like
have to practice.
Yeah.
We're afraid of being cursed.
Yeah.
On the bright side,
Don't want to ruin anything.
we found this.
Oh, that's mine.
Oh, that's yours?
That's my trophy from 2018.
If you're in podcast land, you're going to have to tune into YouTube to find out what we just put on the desk.
It's got my name etched on it.
We're
You
gonna-
can't see it though.
You can't.
You'd have to
etch
really
define.
zoom in. Yeah.
I have a pen right here. We could etch your name onto it. I don't think they'd appreciate that though if I had to guess.
What do you mean? It's already there. You
Yeah.
could just go over it, you mean?
Okay, so this is the thing. Imagine every player who wins, right,
Right.
gets a copy of this.
What, the copy of the trophy?
Yeah. This is the old LCS, LCS trophy is what we have on the desk right now.
Yeah.
Imagine your mom is digging through your room and she finds this.
But I'm more worried that 5 people have the same trophy.
Yeah, but it's just a copy.
Yeah, but
Like, you get like a little version.
imagine like...
I don't think you can start at a
Imagine you
trophy
do like
this
one of those
size. I think you have
shots
to work
where
your
you're
way
like,
up.
let's bring all their trophies together and show how many there are. And each of them won like 3 splits, so there's 15 trophies, and they're all
30
just like
trophies,
all
balling
just like
out.
super gangster balling out. But the LCS trophy looks like this, doesn't it? Yeah.
Does it?
Does it?
The new logo kind of looks like this.
Yeah.
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 It's
cool.
I like it. I like having it here.
We'll
It makes
leave
me
that
feel
there.
strong.
The
I think they're
podcast-
cleaning the trophy case or something. I don't really know what's going on, but all the trophies are next to us. We almost put the EMEA Masters one up here, but it felt a little BM because people still play for that trophy, I think.
Yeah. Well, I did start yesterday.
Because, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to, like, kiss that trophy? And then, like, whoever wins
I
EMEA
came
Masters
close
is
to
going to
kissing that
kiss where...
trophy.
Yeah, ooh, you did come close.
I lost.
Yeah.
Story of my life. Anyway,
But it's
sorry,
fine.
not to bring the mood
We
down.
have unjustly stolen this trophy and are currently criminals. If you steal something and then return it before anyone notices, is it still a crime? I think so, right?
So
Like, if they found out
Let's
later
say
on video footage,
you
for
stole
sure.
a TV from a store.
Yeah, but then you put it back.
You watched your favorite Netflix series,
And you put it back.
and then you put it back without anyone noticing.
Yeah.
Is it stealing?
Yeah, I think
No, it's borrowing.
it's
Because you didn't
surely
keep it.
at least a reduced sentence.
You could rented it for free.
If you steal a used TV, right? So that it's just slightly more used. You're not affecting the cost of the TV. No one has been hurt
Well, it's secondhand then.
in a cap, but it was already secondhand. That's my point.
Let's just take a personal scenario.
Yeah.
If I took your fork and I ate my dinner
Yeah.
and then I washed it and put it back without
No.
you knowing,
You know what? That's
Is
a
that
perfect
stealing?
example. Exactly. You're right. So steal whatever you want, audience. That's the moral of the story. As long as you put it back and clean it before anyone notices, who cares? That's
Or
what stuff
fix it if you
stuff is
break it.
there to be used.
so let's take this trophy for example. This was once an EU LCS trophy.
Yeah.
We've now taken it.
It's now the
We
Caedrel
will
and
put it
Drakos
back,
podcast
but we've won a
trophy.
championship.
Yeah. Sure. Should we award the trophy? Does anyone deserve the trophy this week?
You can have it.
I think it's the new EUphoria MVP trophy.
Oh, you're the MVP. Here's a trophy from 20. You know what I did once? Have I told you this story?
No.
You're gonna. I don't know if I've told you this story. So when I was like 9, 10 years old.
Okay. This is a real throwback.
No, it's related.
Mhm.
Yeah, do you remember the first time you got someone a birthday present?
Yeah.
The first time?
Like, you mean when your mom would give you money at like the
Yeah.
store to like $20 to buy
Exactly.
your friend something?
So first time I ever got a birthday present ever, and it was from my big brother. Okay, and it was the day before his birthday. I had no idea. I didn't leave the house. I didn't know what to do. And he was out that night. So I went into his room.
Mhm.
I found a trophy that he won for like running competition. I wrapped it up and I gave it to him on his birthday the next day. I don't know if I've told this story before, but that's what this makes me think of.
Do you think we should
It's like, hey,
like
you're the
put a
EUphoria
sticker
MVP.
on this that says like from, I don't know who won. When was this around? This was around for the G2 era, right?
Yeah, probably.
Next time we see Perks, we should just write 2016 Summer Champion on a like piece of tape, stick it on there, wrap it up for him, and just give it to Perks.
2023
But
MVP.
I think we'd need to take it back. So it's even worse.
We just make a copy of it. 3D printed.
3D printed.
How do you know this isn't 3D printed? The
I
world
mean,
sometimes, you got to question it.
I think people have probably 3D printed a number of things in a similar shape to this, if I had to guess.
Valid.
Yeah.
Very valid.
Anyway, that's the brief appearance of
That's the
history
conclusion of the...
of the trophy. We're going to put it down here.
So how was your day?
It's
Your
been good,
week?
man. This is going to be a loose podcast episode for those. We're talking about what happened last week and what happened next week. It's been good. You know what I've been thinking about? Because you told me you were going to wear your
Oh, yeah, we
Weeb,
haven't
your
addressed
Weeb
this.
jersey. You're wearing your Weibo?
It says the shy on the back. I thought I'd bring it to this podcast because
Can you stand? You can't stand up because your
no,
microphone
my
pack fell
microphone
off.
thing will
It
fall
says
off.
the shy on the back.
It says the shy on the back, I promise.
So you're a super fan, and I think that's sick. And we talked about it a bit last episode. If the
How do you
Shy
know?
won Worlds,
Yeah.
would you get a tattoo of some kind?
No,
Like-
I'd give him the trophy.
I think you'd misinterpret what that meant when you gave him the trophy, brother.
Hey, here's a trophy from 2017.
Here's the
EU.
2017. You give him the trophy.
Would I get a tattoo? No.
What would you
I've
ever?
got a bottle of Moe next to my desk for when he wins Worlds. It's
Would-
been sitting there
That's cool.
collecting
As
dust.
a fan, do you ever think that you could be enough
Is
of a
this an
fan
interview?
of someone or something to get a tattoo? Because I was thinking about this is a hypothetical I thought to myself. Is like, is there any player in League? Because people get like Messi tattoos all the time,
Yeah.
and people get like team logo tattoos. And shout out to you if you love League
Wasn't
of
there
Legends.
someone
or
who got
esports enough.
T1 2022 World Champions tattooed on their arm? I remember seeing this. Ludwig was talking about it on his YouTube video or something.
I don't
And they
remember.
lost 3
Look, not everything ages. You shouldn't get predictive tattoos.
No.
That's what I would. That's
Like,
bold.
why? What's the point?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, I got this before they won. Prove it.
Imagine the tatted up Mad Lions fan. You know what I mean? Who's like, oh yeah, spring MSI champions, Worlds groups attendees. Like
But
Mad Lions
if he put
believers.
7th place to 1st or something from
Yeah.
whatever it was this year, respect Mad Lions. Wasn't there a guy with the Reckless tattoo?
That's true.
And then Reckless,
And then Reckless blacked out his arms.
Yeah.
We should follow up with that guy and see if he also blacked out his arms.
yeah,
Or if he can
just like got black tattoo everywhere.
I think
and like
the
a
only
gin.
problem I have with the Reckless tattoo, I don't mind if you want to replicate that because you're a huge Reckless fan. Is it my thing? No, not my taste, but I'm not here to yuck your yums. My problem
Yuck
is
your yums.
if you write Reckless on one of your arms, the way that he spells it, people just think you are bad at spelling. Right? Like people just think that people don't understand that's a sports fandom tattoo. They're just like, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Complete normie, not in the loop. It's like caps. Rookie in what?
Yeah, but Reckless is specific because it's like, how do we spell the word Reckless?
What's the worst pro player name you can get tattooed for someone that's not in the loop?
It's anyone who has a name that
It's
is
like someone Carsey. Bro, you misspelled it.
Yeah, because it's such an auto. I don't know. VTO, every time I type in for any prep document, autocorrects to video. Like people are just gonna think you spelt something wrong.
Yeah. So if I got the Shy,
Yeah.
spelt it right.
But I think that this is the thing I was thinking about is because like the players that I like the most, I know as people, right? And I think that makes it even weirder. Like I
Right.
know Mickey, right? Imagine Mickey wins Worlds. Long shot.
Yeah.
You know,
long
even
shot,
if I'm his friend,
but-
I'm not gonna try to butter him up. Imagine I got a Mickey tattoo without talking to Mickey.
But you spelled it M-I-K-Y. It's like, bro, you love Disney? Like,
No,
Mickey
not
Mouse?
even the weird spelling. Just imagine your friend, right? Imagine you like, let's say you're going to training to be a lawyer. You pass the bar or whatever, so now you can be a lawyer. Your friend gets a tattoo in celebration. Are you still friends with that person? Because that's weird as hell to me.
no, okay, now I see where you're coming from.
That's really creepy.
Someone you're friends with wins,
Like
but
we
you're
are
also a
not that
fan of
close. Like you and I have matching tattoos as part of our bouldering
them. So
group.
when you
but like,
do Coachella and do a stage set when you become a rap success, and I get
yeah,
Daniel
Copium.
Dracos tattooed,
Yeah,
you're just
yeah.
going to hate me?
No, I'm not going to hate you, but I hope you talk.
You're
to
gonna
me
get a
before
restraining order?
before you talk to me before you make that decision.
So you are going to get a restraining order.
Oh, you haven't seen my entire back piece. It says congrats on 40K LCK final viewers, Caedrel.
Congrats on
It's
the
just
Twitch
awkward
stream.
because you got above 40K now, and I'm afraid I'm not gonna have to like cross it out and edit it.
Just keep changing the numbers.
This motion.
It's like
with
that
the
guy.
needle.
There's a guy in F1 who on his back put Max Verstappen,
Yeah.
2021 world champion,
Why do
right?
they keep
But
doing
he got it in big. And now he won 2022 as well, so that's underneath it.
Yeah.
He's going to run out of back. Like, he's going to get it down to his ass and then down his legs.
That at least you picked a winner. You know what I mean? At least he won. It's not the T1 blah 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 time to edit world
Yeah.
champions.
I don't know. Predictive ones are just crazy to me.
Yeah.
This is going to happen, so I'll tattoo it. Oh, it didn't happen.
Yeah, like
You know what did happen? Yesterday,
okay.
Dagda carried me.
Yes. So this is our off-topic rambling section, but this is also a moment to appreciate some of the people in the scene who are doing great work.
Yep.
And normally you would think behind-the-scenes personnel like our wonderful producer Phil or some of the incredible people who make the show happen. But today we're producing Dagda, who is on camera, but also does a lot of great things behind the scenes.
Yep.
Tell your Dagda story, and then I'll tell my Dagda story.
So I stream like 8 to 10 hours a day on days of non-NEC. And I thought, wow, I live a very sedentary life.
Yep, sedentary.
And my legs started getting like started feeling a bit weird. So I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll order a treadmill. And I'll run for like 10, 20
Like
minutes.
a walking treadmill?
No, like a running treadmill.
Oh, so okay.
And I'll do like a 10, 20 minute run every day before I start streaming. So I have exercised.
Nice.
you know.
Yeah.
Little did I know that on the arrival day of the treadmill, I go outside, he's ringing my doorbell. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I'm buzzing the door. He's not opening it. He's just standing there looking at the camera. And I'm like, he's not opening the door. And then I put up the intercom. He's like, yeah, come downstairs. I was like, oh, here we go. So I go downstairs. We're in the middle of a street. Not a busy street, but a lot of people walk past the street. He's got a massive truck.
Mhm.
And you know how at the end of the trucks, they have like a little lift?
Yeah, a little,
so they
like,
can get the
little lifts
box
up
off
and
the
down.
top.
Yeah.
He's driving his forklift in the truck, mini forklift. He's got wooden stool crates, whatever it is, like underneath the box.
There's a pallet
yeah,
underneath the box.
Lifts it up, puts it at the end, puts it down the lift, and then carries on the forklift onto the middle of the street and just puts it there. And I'm like, cool.
Damn, I love Germany, bro.
So how are we getting this in the apartment? He's like, what do you mean? Like, you're on your
We.
own, buddy. You're on your own. And I'm like, bro, you just carried this with a forklift and it's on the middle of the street and I have to get it up 3 flights of stairs.
And look,
Is this a one-man job? Like, are you?
yeah, you're not a power. You don't have that power lifter build, brother.
Yeah, and
I believe you got
Bro,
that sleek build. You know what I mean?
I'm not that strong.
You're wearing light armor.
I'm
You're not
weak.
walking around in the scale mail or whatever.
I'm in cloth, buddy.
Yeah, cloth.
I'm not in light armor. I'm
Normal
in cloth.
clothes.
I'm not in chainmail or anything.
AC of 10. Strength.
Strength is 8 max.
He's got a
That-
-1.
That rock near Baldur's Gate start, I can't move it. Can't do anything. I can't even throw the wizards.
Yeah, your perception high. You know that there's something under it. It's not going
Yeah.
anywhere.
So what basically happened was he eventually, going back and forth, said, you need to sign this because he wants to piss off, obviously. He wants me to sign it so he can piss off. But I was like, no, like, you need to help me.
You need to help me
But
move
obviously, eventually, my anxiety caved in and I was like, okay, fine.
it. Yeah.
Bye. And then he got in his truck and left. And there I was with a box the size of me
Mm-hmm.
that weighed 150 kilos
Jesus.
in the middle of the road. And I'm awkwardly standing there. It's still got the wooden pallet underneath it. And the wooden pallet's attached at the bottom.
Oh God.
So I'm like trying to lift it. I'm like, yeah, this is impossible. There's no way. So I shimmied it to the pavement, like, what is it called? Like the pavement, so you can get it onto the sidewalk.
curb?
The curb. Yeah.
Yes.
And then I managed to like push it over to go onto the curb.
So you
I
like
just, just pushed it.
so it just
so it
topples. Your brand new
yeah.
treadmill
So now
just
it's on
topples
on
onto
its side,
the curb
on the
this
curb.
side.
Yeah. And then I realized, like, yeah, I can't move it. Like, I am physically incapable of moving this thing. So what do? In a situation like that, I go upstairs to my apartment.
You leave it?
I left
Wait, are
it.
you streaming during this
No,
entire
I'm not
interaction?
streaming. I left it. So
Okay.
what I did then was I went into my stream, my offline chat. Some people lurk around there, and I'm like, guys, I got a problem.
Yeah.
There's this package on the pavement, and I can't move it. And my chat's just laughing at me. They're all like, idiot. Get
You
a
have
removal man. We had some good ideas.
Real world.
There was some good ideas.
Okay.
People were like, get a removal man. Unpack the box and take things out and take it up.
That's smart.
There
That's
was some
smart.
good
That's
ideas.
classic.
But eventually I was like, my solution is Dagda. Dagda, for context, lives like a 1-minute walk away. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I call him.
And Dagda is built like a power lifter.
Yeah, I
Dagda's
called him.
strong.
He didn't answer. I'm like, I'm screwed. So I sat there for a good hour in my apartment, just like, I know no one's gonna steal it. You need a truck to steal that thing. No one's gonna take it. It's just sitting on the street. But eventually, after an hour of me sitting in Twitch chat and my chat actually like doing a gamba as to whether I could get this thing into my apartment or not.
Did you
He
you made
answered.
content out of this?
Well, I didn't stream it, but I was just talking to some people in the offline chat
Uh-huh.
and in the Discord.
Okay.
And then Dagda woke up. He came over. We got it on its side, on its thing. I didn't realize that the wooden pallet was attached with straps. I thought it was like stapled on or something. So
Okay.
we cut the straps. Wooden pallet came out, and then Dagda said, "Step aside. I've played rugby for a lot of my life." Just gets behind this thing and just guns it, and I can see his legs just going, and the whole thing just starts moving into the apartment building. And I'm just like, just standing there like dumbfounded, just like shocked as to how much movement is.
So you in
It's
the
happening.
end, you didn't even help him. He just solo did
No,
this.
I did. I got on the other side and I was like directing it. I was like the ship steerer.
I was
and he was the engine.
supervising. You have to
Yeah,
understand.
I was supervising.
Really making the process more efficient.
I was like steering the ship, and that morning the elevator didn't work. But luckily they just fixed it.
Oh God. I was like,
And,
the end of the story cannot be Dagda ruins his back and
it-
dies for you.
It just fit in the elevator,
Okay.
and then we went up the lift and boom, done.
Bro. So shout out to Dagda.
So now it's sitting in my apartment.
True homie.
Yeah.
My story's much simpler.
Mm.
He just was like, I know you like coffee. I asked my mom, because his mom came to visit not too long ago,
Mm.
to bring you some coffee from my favorite coffee place. I was like, that's just really thoughtful.
He brought me dinner once.
'Cause,
I
like-
was streaming too long, and he was like, "I have some leftovers. You want me to bring them over?" I said, "Sure." He brought me some wraps. I ate them. He left.
Anyway, in this house, we love Dagda.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story. Yeah, he's just a good dude, especially for us, because I think we're both like, if you ask for something, I'll do it for you. But like, I don't. Otherwise, I'm in my little bubble.
Yeah.
You know, you want me to show up, I'll be there. You want me to be considerate and think of you just for no reason sometimes?
Difficult.
Damn. I forget people exist. My best friends in Portland, we don't talk. I roll up in Portland a day before I text them and let them know I'm in town. I am not a great adult.
Yeah, I think
or
I did
friend.
the same to you in London, where I was like,
you were like, yo, do you want to hang
"Hey,
out tonight?
Daniel, I'm in London.
I'm 2 hours away from you. Do you want to hang out for
Can
an
I hang
hour?
out right now?"
We got one session and it was good during MSI. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Gang there. Speaking of
Well, I think that's probably the longest
anything else,
renting we've ever had.
yeah, we kind of 15 minutes. We're fine. It all came together. We talked about the
There's
shy.
timestamps, right? So you can like,
They can click ahead if they don't want the
if
content.
they didn't ask.
They will complain if they want to complain.
Yeah.
No matter what we do.
They have a complaint, like it's like a tribunal in those YouTube comment sections.
Sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes someone's like, I really like this, and someone's like, I'll fight you to the death on
Yeah.
that. It's wild.
Yeah, we need a judge, jury, executioner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that means in this context, but
No,
yeah.
me neither.
Yep.
Just let it sit.
Sick.
This is weird being the analyst desk.
I know it's too open. I feel loose. I feel like we're filling for a pause, but we're not. We
It's
actually have a lot
like
to talk
normally
about.
in the analyst desk, you know, you've got like everyone's in suits or dressed up.
Yeah, I feel like
There's people all around behind the
I
cameras.
feel like fans who wandered into the LEC studio.
Yeah, the studio is a ghost town. It's just me and you, an audio guy,
empty.
Phil, the producer.
behind the camera.
behind the
Shout out
camera.
Phil. Another great
I can
human.
see the whole set. It is
Yep.
spooky and dark.
It's a G2 versus BDS
It's like,
logo still up
it's
there.
like we slept here overnight.
Yeah. It's like night at the museum. Anyway, we actually League of Legends. So if you missed last week's games, this is a weird time to join the podcast because you should probably go watch those games first. But we can summarize for you. But this is where the spoilers begin. I don't give spoiler warnings ever, so I don't know why I said that. It's the League podcast. We talk about League. Sometimes.
Spoiler warnings.
We sometimes talk about League. We had two series this week. XL versus Mad. The most surprising result. Mostly because now that it's happened, not that surprising because we know what Mad always had a high ceiling. But surprising because, again, putting your faith in Mad. Biggest coin flip ever. This is the series that we all got wrong.
Yep.
Me, you, and Yamato.
I hate Matt. I just hate them. You know,
Because you can't rely on them to do anything. You cannot rely
Anything.
on them to lose.
The
You
whole
cannot
year.
rely on them to win. You cannot rely on them to be great or mediocre.
sometimes I'll go to Worlds and get out of groups. Sometimes I'll go to Worlds and not even get through play-ins. And they'll lose to wildcard regions.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll finish 8th or 7th in the regular season and then they'll win the split.
But
Sometimes they'll lose 9-8 games in a row and then they'll 3-0 our second best team on paper. I just hate them.
yeah,
In a nice way.
I mean, I have got no beef, to be clear. I just wish that
Yeah,
they
no
could
beef.
figure there'd be more consistent.
You could just give me, it's like, you
Just
know,
pick a lane and stick to it.
it's
you
just all over the place. It's like the room's messy, everything's screwed up,
mhm.
but their life's completely intact. And everything's fine. But there's clothes everywhere and I can't take a single step. It's infested. But their life's great. And
This is
they're-
such a weird analogy because you are that person.
Yeah.
You live a very put together life, but you like
Why are you gonna sell me out?
you're a sharp. You know how they do that circle for stats? You got like 4 points, and everything else is just a void. You know what I'm talking about?
Self-care and cleanliness of the house.
Self-care, like house state. Bam, negative, whatever.
Depends. It's actually, that's my house state is a Mad Lions house state. If I've been streaming for 2 weeks straight, it's a mess. Have
But
I had 3 days off? Pristine.
What I'm saying is sometimes their house is clean, sometimes it's a disaster. So when Mad Lions invite you over for a dinner party, you're like, it
Ooh.
could be like a 5-star Michelin meal.
Or
You
I'm
could
eating
see
off the
them just
floor.
like, or I'm eating off the floor.
Yeah.
And it's like been there for a day or two.
Or free.
3.
Sometimes.
And this week, Mad smashed Excel. This series was not close.
Nope.
Shout out to Carzy, especially of all the reasons I thought that this team would do well. Carzy was not first on my list. I thought it was going to be a lot about Ilya Hillisang, and it was, but I think Carzy played phenomenally. Now, admittedly, the one game in their series where he played Sivir that went on for like 20 minutes longer than it should have and probably should have been an XL win
Oh, yeah, 100%.
is worth mentioning because Matt did, credit to them, bring it back.
But I love it how, like, in the team fight, of course, he did, like, insane damage numbers, and he carried that fight and that won in
Yeah.
the game. But, like, he literally just stood there auto-attacking,
He got into melee range.
got Azir ulted, stood there auto-attacking, and then everyone died. And it's
and
not
you
like
gotta
a
respect
flashy
Carzy
thing,
because there's games where,
but he stood his ground,
yeah.
and he just hit. And then they won that game.
Sometimes Carzy is like so good, and again, in this way, he's a perfect fit for Mad Lions. sometimes he's eeing into other people. And it reminded me this weekend when we were watching the series, like when Mad Lions were first starting to take off and do pretty well, we used to talk about how they just shouldn't give Carzzy a champion with a dash because he's just going to leap into the enemy team and die.
Yeah.
And I forgot about that until this series. He did have a couple oopsie moments, but yeah.
I remember that there was an Ezreal game earlier on in the year where he was playing against Malphite, I think, and he just Ezreal E'd in and just got Malphite ulted. I think it was against BDS in the finals, actually. Was it against BDS in the finals? I think it was. And then they almost lost that game. And I remember messaging him being like, that was a close call. And he was like, oh my God. You know how he does his thing?
Yeah.
I thought I lost the game for the whole team. But yeah, I don't know. My summary of the Mad XL series was like, game 1, I think XL's draft was just completely unplayable. They're playing Kalista Alistar against Poppy top against Ezreal. Like, Alistar into Ezreal sucks.
Yeah.
Alistar into Poppy Ezreal sucks even more. They got outranged, outscaled, they got pushed in, and there was like no options. And as much as you can get Renekton ahead, Renekton can't carry versus Poppy Ivern like he just gets one shot.
And just like, obviously this is the first game that we've seen on 13-15 for our region. And so I like wasn't sure where the meta was going to end up, but now from what we've learned this weekend, and also from what we've learned from 13-13, when you give away Ivern and Rel, and you don't, there's almost no good trade. If I say I can have Ivern and Rel, is there any champion where you're like, I'll take 2 champions back and it's a good trade?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of teams really like Ivern. I think the team like BDS realized Ivern plus range support is trash. You need Ivern with melee support. That's like Ivern's #1 rule.
Yep.
But I think the big thing for me was just you're playing Kalista Alistar, and then XL never played through bot. Like, bot lane, they couldn't find any advantages through bot whatsoever, and then Kalista was just kind of like even, and nothing really happened.
It just felt like they were scrambling, man. I mean, Peach on Viego, again, Peach is really good mechanically, but I feel like it was such a big step away from the things that made them good in summer.
Yeah.
Almost a completely different look in that game.
I just feel like you have to steamroll through bot really hard this game.
Yeah.
And you have to steamroll the game, because if you get the 3 items on Ezreal, Azir, Poppy, they just all stand together, clumped up, and anyone who comes in any direction just gets destroyed. And you don't have the engage, like an Ornald or something, to actually disrupt that. Your only real engage was the Alistar. I like the Corki into Azir. I feel like Faker's been playing that a lot. It's just like an easy response to just get poke for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not too much that XL could do in that game 1, I feel like.
I mean, yeah. Overall, I think it was a bit of a weird one. Kind of almost it felt like a false start for XL. I feel like their game 2, I liked a lot more of what they had going on. And they were doing, pretty well.
Oh, their game 2 was over. They should have won that game.
Their game 2 was over. They should have won
100%.
that game. Like, yeah, and then in that sense, like, super dominant 3-0 from Madden, since that it was a 3-0, and 2 of those games looked very convincing. But game 2, XL could not close.
I mean, they just dropped the ball. I mean, it's not even a factor of being outscaled. Like, they're playing like Azir Aphelios.
Aphelios for Sivir.
You're
outranging in the vast majority of circumstances.
I think, remembering that game, Niski was doing so much work on side lane that XL like got disrupted a lot by that.
Yeah.
And eventually they went into that mid fight against the Sivir. And I remember casting that game and just being like, XL, the game is won, but you need to care about Sivir. You need to care about Sivir. Like, Ivern Sivir, if she gets uptime, and then there was so many mid lane fights where there's like diving them on a tier 3 and Sivir is just standing there. And they lose members, they lose tempo on the map, Niski's pushing side, and they could never like recover a map state where they could just like push it down mid. But I don't know, I mean, that game, Patrick was super fed, Abadagi was so strong. Everything felt like it should have come together. I mean, Odoamne was steamrolling through top after the early dives.
And that's what I was ready on that day for that series to be XL 3-0. And then after game 1, I was like, oh God. And then in the middle of that game 2, I was like, this is going 5. Like, this is going to be so much more about draft than I thought. This is going to be like, clearly these teams are actually fighting on more even footing and they're trading back and forth. Maybe could have been an XL 3-1 when I was looking at 7K gold lead in that first game.
Yeah,
or in that second
almost
game.
7K,
Yeah.
Almost 7K.
And XL just could not do it. And the one thing I will say for Mad, I like this from Mad. They got way more creative in their game 3 draft. Yes, it was still mostly meta champions, but I loved the Camille coming out.
Yeah.
I thought Chasey did super well.
Yeah. I think Poppy, Camille, and Dinar. Like, that Lee Sin pick blew my mind. I remember seeing it because we didn't do draft. It was the analyst test doing draft, and I was sitting there talking with Dagda.
That's like the most unplayable Lee Sin I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life.
Bro, Lee Sin against Camille is annoying. Lee Sin against Poppy Alistar is just unplayable.
Well, and I felt like they figured out how they wanted to use Peach, and then everything this series showed me was like they've decided that was wrong, and they're trying to reinvent the wheel.
I think you kind of have to go something like Trundle there. But even like, if you gave me a 2v2 and you said the 2v2 is Gnar, Lee Sin, counter it as hard as humanly possible in blind pick, I say Camille Poppy.
Yeah.
Any day of the week.
It's the literal
Gnar
dream.
can't move. You have insanely one-sided 2v2. Lee Sin can't move. You win level 1 to 3 maybe, and then that's it. It just all goes downhill from then.
Guess, and to be fair, it's been a long time since we've seen Camille. Like, we just haven't seen Camille in a while, so they're not anticipating it. But even just on the merit of them having Poppy alone, which at this point is still a flex, right? Could still technically go top lane at this stage of the draft. It's like, what do you...
Yeah,
what
Camille used to be like an old school counter to Gnar because like you get Sunder and he can't lane.
I don't even think it was Sunderer back when she was an old school. I don't even remember what she used to build.
Probably.
You get one item.
Yeah,
you get one item. The second he turns mini, you just kill him.
And you just win on side lane. But it's just Odo died to like 3 ganks in the first like 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And then Camille had Sunderer by like 10, 12 minutes, something like that. Or Triforce rather. And Gnar can't play side lane. Lee Sin cannot do anything to Camille once she's that far ahead. And as long as Elioya covers him, they have like their game 2 draft on steroids because they have LeBlanc side lane with Camille side lane. They have like this deadly 1-3-1.
Yeah.
And XL don't have champs to stop it. The only person who can stop it is Patrick. He just has to like Kai'Sa ult on sides and try to salvage the whole map. But when your 1-3-1 comp is ahead and you have both
once you have a lead like this, you're spending your entire game catching waves. You can't be there to collapse and make a 2v1.
It's such like the only way to play against 1-3-1 is if you play a 5-man group comp and the solo lanes aren't that far ahead. So you can leverage your 1-lane push versus their 2-lane push and get advantages by like forcing objectives, right?
Yeah.
But how do you force objectives? What are you going to turn with Lee Sin Rel into Poppy Alistar? Like Alistar destroys Rel.
Well, and also just
Poppy Alistar destroys Lee Sin. There's no turn. You can't just force an objective.
Yeah, you can't straight up walk into a fight. You don't have like Azir as your one luxury of range, and you're just like it's so hard for you to get set up.
Yeah.
You don't really like your strongest frontliner is. This is a game where you're right. Like Trundle is still rough, but I feel like you want something to stop them from just one-shotting your Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I think they needed like some kind of like if I don't remember the pick order, right? But some kind of like Trundle Ornn or something might salvage that draft.
So Lee Sin, Gnar were the last. Renekton and Sejuani were banned away. Maokai had already been banned away. So at this point, they let jungle go down pretty far. That it's definitely
4-5 Gnar Lee Sin?
They 4-5 Lee Sin, Gnar after seeing Varus.
Into Poppy?
Into Poppy
Alistar, they 4-5 Gnar because I remember they last picked Camille.
Yeah, and then that's last pick Camille to round it out.
Like the only avenue I can understand Lee Sin is no mobility AD and LeBlanc. Lee Sin is like the best jungler against LeBlanc in the game because you can actually gap closer and your Q like kind of screws her passive. But you need like Lee Sin, Lissandra, Lee Sin, TF. You need someone with CC when you're playing Lee Sin. You can't like Lee Sin Azir versus LeBlanc. I don't think LeBlanc really cares.
And like, yeah, in general, I'm down for Lee Sin, but please play it with some sort of setup. Your only setup CC for Lee Sin on the entire map is Rel.
Yeah.
Bot lane. And that matchup is already annoying because they have Varus. So they're already going to probably take control of push early, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you can probably get advantage, level 2?
Oh, Matt's comp is so annoying, isn't it? Poke Varus, LeBlanc with Static Shift Lichbane for side lane and poke. And then 2 champs, Poppy Alistar, that prevent any engage.
I hate poke Varus.
So
I
annoying.
much prefer on hit as hard as it is to play. Now, I've gone on record in the past to say I don't love it in EU because I think teams struggle to play around it. But against a comp where there's no tank,
yeah, it's just free DPM farming. So like, props to Mad for the turnaround. As much as I say game 2 they should have lost.
Sure.
And I also think I think Mac won that series.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if I think he just outdrafted them. So like I don't know, that game 1 draft.
Excel felt dizzy.
Like
bro.
I don't know what's better, playing Poppy Alistar against Lee Sin Gnar or playing Poppy versus Kalista Alistar. Like Kalista versus Poppy.
Yeah.
This is unplayable. You literally have to stand still and auto attack because if you jump, you just get rooted. Like Poppy W is on top of you. Kalista, not only are you getting stunned into walls or knocked away, but you also can't move. You just have to stand there, and it's just you just die. It's like you're stun locked for like 3 seconds while Poppy W's up. Like that matchup is horrible.
Poppy's awesome.
Poppy won that series.
So strong, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I'm hoping we still have more to see from the meta. Because this series was a bit bland, and while there was more spice in the BDSG2 series, It's not as we were hoping for more AD mids when we were talking last week on the podcast. There's a lot getting practiced.
I mean, the Taliyah ban I think covered that off a lot. Taliyah was I think she was banned every single game.
She's 100% presence. I got
so there must be some like Taliyah jungle that's going on. I mean, I started playing solo queue again like 4 days ago.
Yeah.
I was unranked. Now I'm 300 LP. Bro,
climbing.
I'm on the climb.
Bro.
But I played mostly Lee, but I played a lot of Taliyah as well because they basically buffed her damage to jungle camps. And if you buff damage to jungle camps, any patch note where it says damage to jungle camps increased, it's very likely that champ's broken and you need to abuse it quick. Like when they did that to like Darius jungle, Morgana jungle, Maokai jungle, Rel jungle, these champs just became absurd.
Brand jungle. No.
So free tip for patch notes.
For self-made out there, wherever self-made is right now.
Free tip for patch notes: if anyone's jungle damage is buffed, just go try it straight away because it's very likely it's OP.
Well, okay, so right now the 100% pick ban are Ivern, Rel, Tristan, and Taliyah, and we're seeing Ivern and Rel make it through a decent amount. We see a little bit of Trist, but Taliyah is essentially permud.
Yeah, and a quick thing about Taliyah is like her clear is really good and healthy, but old Taliyah jungle, before her Q changes, when her Q was all flat throughout the entire Q, she was actually really strong level 1 to 3. Yeah. Like you could get level 3 on Taliyah and just fight people nonstop. Now, it's been a while. I think it's been like almost a year since the Taliyah Q change, but we haven't seen much of her. But she is really strong at level 7 and level 9 when she gets 4 points in Q or 5 points because she's like a scaling champ kind of like now. She's almost like a mini version of Kayle. When you get points in Q, it exponentially gets so much better.
And we saw that,
but early it's kind of weak.
Yeah, for the brief period of time that post rework that she was popular in mid lane or she was getting picked up in mid lane was like, she's insane. Yeah. Like you get a lot of utility early game just from the Unraveled Earth, from the ability to stop dashes, and you have decent wave clear. But it's like late game,
late game it gets really nice. And then on the full late game, she's kind of meh, but it's also very situational because Taliyah E is so strong. Like if you can walk up to an Elder fight and put an E down, no one can dash.
Do anything.
It's absurd.
Yeah. I mean, it turns out all these champions, Poppy and Taliyah, with the ability to stop gap closers, ruin half of the playmaking champions in the game.
It makes sense. Like they're playing like Renekton blind, you're against Poppy or Taliyah. It's like I can't move in fights. Kalista,
just throw the rocks down.
I don't know. All of Excel's champs just have
the spike
dashes.
Strip.
Maybe this is like a results-based end the analysis, but like Renekton, Corki, Kalista, Alistar, like Lee Sin, like oh my god, it's just heaven.
Take us back. That's what I'm saying. Bring back, make Brand good again. All these hyper immobile champions.
Make Brand. Oh, bro, that's the stuff. That's the good stuff. You know when you're playing like the Poppy, as much as it's nice versus these dashes. If you play Poppy versus like I don't know, like a mage like Brand or a Nivea or
you don't do anything.
like Ezreal Yumi or anything like that, or Aphelios or Lulu, you can't do anything. You're just getting one shot.
I feel like half the reason Poppy is so good in pro is just because mobility is always going to be like king in pro.
Yeah, as long as you're quick on it, you either stop their engage or you
control space well. But if we're just in like front to back double control mage, you'd rather have Ornn over Poppy.
Not only can I E you away or into a wall or W your dash, but I can also blast you halfway across the map when I'm finishing an objective.
That all is so good. Every time it gets charged up, like it's like 60% likely that it's not going to do anything. So I don't think people get as hype as they should.
Yeah.
But if it hits 2 characters, any 2 characters,
I can spin it and not cast it,
and it's
on 10 second, 15 second cooldown.
Yeah. Instantly game deciding, objective deciding ult. Because as long as anyone on your team can follow up, you can just instantly kill the remaining members.
It's the year of Poppy. This champ's broken.
Poppy is nasty.
I've also been playing a lot of Poppy. So I have 22 games Lee Sin.
You have your own OPG.
22 games Lee Sin, 59% win rate. 11 games Poppy. Second most played, 73%. I don't even pick it into dashes. I just pick Poppy, 3 camps, dive bot, GG.
But this is I like having Poppy in the meta. I like champions with unique utility. And frankly, like, it's cool to have champions that are really strong into other certain champions. I like that. Dota obviously is that to an extreme. I never want to be Dota level, but I like when champions are really clearly strong into other champions.
I also like champs that are simple and like they're easy to understand, but they can also be very strong when they're easy to understand. Like Nefiri. I don't think that champ is overly complicated, and Melio as well. It's not that complicated.
Sure.
You got a Q knockback, you got extra range and true damage on your W, you got 2 shields, and you got a cleanse on your ult.
Yeah.
It's strong. It's simple and strong.
I'm especially for me, because I'm a boomer at this point very clearly, like I don't need another Zed. When Zed came out, I spent like a gajillion games trying to get good at Zed. And I was good at my trash ELO, but it's nice when a new champion comes out and it's not like reworked Akali level, like the f is going on here?
Bro, when Akali first got reworked, W under tower.
Yeah, she
invisible
was
from
broken,
tower
so I
shots,
was like,
I
oh,
was
wow, I'm
like,
good at Akali. I wasn't
whoa.
good at Akali. Akali was turbo broken.
Do you remember
But just like the essay that you have to read to understand that champion and the mechanical ability you need to play that champion at a high level versus, Neferi, who's much simpler. I actually like having a mixed of, because it feels like for a couple years there, they were exclusively making like really high skill cap champions.
Yeah, and there's so many small mechanics that they removed if you think about it. For example, Sylas, you used to be able to EQ at the same time. So you could root them and Q them at the same time.
The auto-canceling on the passive, because it used to be you didn't get stacks, you used to just be able to...
And on Akali, you could also EQ at the same time. So you could like Q and E at the same time. And it was like a super combo. I don't know, they have like... They do nerf them in the sense of removing those like really nice animation cancels that like make your life so much easier. But yeah, those champs, when they first got reworked, I was like, what the hell?
That's just too much for my
3
little
dashes,
brain.
invisibility on the tower.
You have to remember old Akali, if you didn't play, you like Q'd, which was a targeted ability. It put a mark on them, and then if you autoed them, it popped the mark. So similar to that, But then your alt was just like 3-stack dash. So you'd Q, you'd alt, you'd auto.
And your E was just like, you just did like
E,
AoE, right?
Spun. Your W was a big, ugly circle that kept you invisible. It was not.
Bro, an old Poppy ult, do you remember that?
Yeah, you used to just ult someone and no one else could do damage to you, and you would just do one person and you did increase damage to them.
And you did bonus damage to them. So you could like ult someone in your lane and dive them, and the tower doesn't do damage to you, and you do bonus damage. And I'm not sure, because it wasn't OP. Like, not many people played it.
Poppy was useless. Because Poppy Q, old Poppy Q was essentially what current Poppy Q is, but it was an auto attack reset, and it was no AoE.
Wait, what was her E? Was it a dash?
E was a dash. Was the same. W was the armor MR steroid.
The armor MR,
and you could never do more than 10% of her current health that was her passive with any ability. So when she got low, she was impossible to kill.
Bro, can you imagine like they make a champion right now and they give them old Poppy ult? Everyone would be like, what?
But if they gave him old, that's the thing. Poppy was strong at some points, not as much in pro play. I think Chachi was like the only person playing Poppy. But she couldn't clear a wave, bro. She had no wave clear. Her Q was just an auto. It was like a Nasus Q.
Not like old Sion, baby. Oh, that wave's
just
one shot.
Up, push W. I mean, new Sion's
4 Doran's ring. Wave's dead.
We're getting lost in the nostalgia, which is
good
great.
Though.
Nostalgia is good. I love.
What's your favorite champion of all time in like the year or state? Like old this, old that, with these items, like
Elise when she was broken.
Yeah.
When you used to build the jungle item on her.
Like Spirit of the Spirit of
I
the
played her everywhere.
Something?
I played her everywhere. Spirit of the Ancient Lizard, I think, was the...
Elder Lizard,
Ancient Wraith.
Golem.
It might have been the Wraith one. The AP Vamp one. I played her in every role. I loved Elise at the time. And then they nerfed her, so you had to be good at her because she was too broken. And I get it. I do. But that was like peak.
My favorite was Ignite Fiora mid with the old ult. You just flash ultimate Ignite, and you just like auto E as you come out, and dead.
You know what? That is like one of the things I do really enjoy, especially about the arena mode, is it's like you finally get to play some of the weird stuff that you could just never, ever justify playing as solo queue. You're like, it's not ARAM where you just get something random. You're like, actually like, oh, I want to play this.
Yeah.
That said, people tried too hard in that game.
I like old Fiora.
I miss old Fiora.
That ulti was bonkers.
I actually don't remember anything about her kit except for
I don't remember
ulti.
I don't remember either.
Who knows? There was another series that happened this week.
Her W was similar though. Another series happened this week. G2 versus
G2 versus BDS. This one we expected to be clean sweep. G2, our best team. We think by a pretty decent margin.
Yep.
And while it was proven in this series, BDS managed to take a game, specifically game 2. And I got to give some credit to BDS here. They did an incredible job shutting down Yikes Evelyn. Now, was I a huge fan of the Evelyn pick? No, but with a single game sample size where it did nothing, of course you're not going to be. But they tracked it. They killed Yike twice. Adam sacking his lane to go contest Raptors for the second kill.
Yeah, Adam always does that, doesn't he?
I liked it. I think that was most teams when they encounter something new are like so scared. Oh, what's it going to do? And we've obviously, the pro players have been pro players long enough that they're not as phased. But like, if they had just sat back and Eve had gotten 6 for free, that game would have been hard.
Yeah.
But shutting Yike down early just made the entire game so free. So free for BDS. They were winning bot lane. They were winning that bot lane 2v2, which should have been hard because Braum Zeri, fun fact, Not great.
Bro, G2's draft that game. Oh, man, they're playing... I feel bad for Mickey, but they're playing Renekton Nautilus into Braum, Ivern. Like, Nautilus versus Braum is already really hard, but you factor in like Ivern, the problem he has in fights, Mickey, I think, and you just kind of die all the time. You hook in, you get hit by Braum passive, you get ulted, knocked up, Daisy knocked up, you get Braum passive stun, like, you just can't move.
Well, I mean, the problem is also when your carries are behind, you're going to be dead the entire game.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
The way AP jungle Evelyn works is like, yeah, obviously you just want to full clear. Like, your early ganks are okay. You know, I mean, your charm's fine if you want to like dive someone, you have a really good lane state, but most of the time you're just power farming.
Yeah.
I think Yiko even got like a double crab that game or something along those lines. But yeah, if your lanes get pushed in and you get invaded as Evelyn, that is the worst nightmare ever.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think Yike, as much as they have double AD carry, the Ivern, I don't know this matchup, Evelyn to Ivern, because as much as I have in my head, Ivern can allow you to power farm, it just makes it hard to assassinate someone, this champ, when you're just fully grouped on a dragon fight.
I think the thing about Evelyn, in my experience, and I'm by no means an Evelyn main, but it's like, if you can power farm freely, and you can find a pick on an Ivern solo or some point, or you can invade the jungle and start to contest Ivern around some of these camps, or get any kind of snowball going so that you're not completely reliant on that W to just not one-shot someone, but do a significant amount of damage, the game probably feels fine. But when you're behind against an Ivern, the game is completely unplayable. So from the moment we left draft, it was very clear that this was going to be a feast or famine kind of game, because... yeah, if you fall behind against Braum, Ivern, double 80 carry as Evelyn, like,
yeah, I mean, Evelyn,
and we saw it the entire game. Like, Yike is just like, I'm in the darkness, and BDS are like, cool.
Yeah,
what are you doing over there, bud? You're not going to one shot anybody, so
yeah, it's either like a heavy side lane, like a heavy team fight flanker, or just side lane only.
Yeah,
and you don't. And the thing is with Evelyn, like, I remember scrimming self-made like 2019, 2020, non-stop playing against this guy's Evelyn. And it was horrific. And eventually I kind of learned how to play against it. There's a couple of rules, like, you don't put normal wards anywhere. You just put them on our camps, matter what.
Yeah,
you just
like, you can't see it otherwise.
Like, if you're in river, just take time, just walk, put a ward on his raptors or his like Grump or his Krugs. Anything is really important. The second thing is, at first when I played against Evelyn, he would gank side lanes, right? It's obvious. His Evelyn would go behind his side laner and they try to dive, or they try to make some shenanigans happen on side lane. But then I realized, like, after games of playing against that, I always imagined that he would play on a side lane, and so I tried to cover side lanes more. But then he would use the fake pressure of me thinking that he's on a side lane with his solo lane pushing and me respecting it, looking at the vault of the scrim and being like, he's not even there. Like, he's on his Krugs, his mid laner's pushing to bot tier 2, and because his mid laner's fake pressuring, I get the idea that Evelyn's there, so I don't go on him. So he's actually griefing, but he's making it look like he's not griefing because he has Evelyn on his team.
Yeah.
And then it became this mind game of like, do I go on their side laner or not? Is Evelyn there or not? And that paranoia is just really, you have to read the game state really well to know whether you can go in or not. And I think I went through the trial by fire of that.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, you realize like numbers advantages everything, and like, and just sometimes you just have to outplay it.
And that's kind of my point as to why I want to make sure we give credit to BDS here, is that oftentimes teams will get paranoid about a pick they haven't seen as much. And I don't know if they got to scrim against Evelyn a lot. I'm not sure what their experience was with the pick. But if they had not been as aggressive in invading and contesting the Evelyn, and she had gotten to level 6, they would have spent the entire game dealing with that kind of pressure, this kind of poker game you're playing in your head of like, are they gambling? Are they not gambling? Do we know? Do we not know? And they really made it work. I mean, they got pressure bot lane, and what I think is a pretty difficult, like, Zeri Braum is not an ideal combo, because it's just Zeri doesn't always get to pick who she autos, so you can't always reliably practice the bomb stacks. But despite that, they were able to get push on that first invade. They played super aggressive to get the kill on a Yike, clearly aware that Evelyn is kind of useless that early in the game when you have man advantage. Like, credit to BDS, man. They made this one work. Like, from that moment on, who cares? Like, Evelyn's behind, so far behind that she's never a threat, so BDS can just play totally just like unleashed, like, do whatever they want. And I won't say that the Evelyn in this game did not do well. Maybe Evelyn's a good pick into Ivern. I don't know. I'm not going to judge.
They must have been cooking something in scrims. But it's also like, if you fall behind this Evelyn, not only are you behind, but enemy team gets so much bonus gold that they can build defensive items, right? It's like they're so accelerated that there's double GAs and stuff like that, and you're just like, wow, it's definitely unplayable now.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's the thing is like I feel like 90% of the time, and I'm just gonna say 100% of the time, Evelyn is relevant, right? It's in these are what the game states look like, right? Is it's all or nothing with any kind of assassin in the jungle, and I think doubly so with Evelynn.
Yeah, Evelynn's a weird one.
But BDS got the win. Was pretty clean from there on out. And again, I think G2, once Evelynn fell behind, it felt like a draft divvy the entire time. You could definitely just say it was a draft divvy coming out of the gate because it was definitely high stakes. But G2 recovered, and no more Evelynn, believe it or not, from this point on.
I feel like when G2 just play, as much as it's the meta, I feel like G2's read on this series and their answers were so good. Like this Kled into Renekton blind was GG.
Yeah, nice.
BB played it so well. He played it so, and Caps Nico as well. I just feel like they're staples in the game where like Mickey engage support, Yike supportive jungler, Caps gets Nico, BB has a wacky pick like Kled that he can pick into Renekton. Or he even plays things like Olaf himself does BB, or he plays Poppy into Jax. Like if he gets some kind of counter matchup, he looks relatively good, you know? Like he looks like I don't know why I say relatively, he looks really good. You know, he was getting solo kills, you play topside early, he can carry the game. You know, you look at game 1 and everything's even. 1 TP bot, but double kill bot, game's over.
Instantly over. Yeah.
Their
credit
pace,
to BB.
G2's pace is crazy.
Yeah. Outside of the single game, the Darius game really, and some of the earlier moments in the Jax vs Poppy matchup weren't the best, weren't terrible, weren't the best. I think like BB was a powerhouse this series. And game 4 was the other one where BDS, I thought, probably could have won the game, but this is the moment. And these moments where you see G2 fighting from a deficit or where the enemy team has clearly very strong carries. The Nuke was very strong that game, very fed that game. We watched them top side jungle, blue side jungle next to the Baron pit. We watched them just dissect BDS. Pulling one player this way, BDS try to overcommit onto one player, clearly not on the same page. G2 immediately do the same thing but do it well and then win the fight. And this game 4 to me was the game where I'm like, G2 get a lot of praise, and I know people are tired of hearing about how great G2 is, but G2 are very good, and this was a game where I think they got the opportunity to show it because they literally just ran circles around BDS in some of those fights in game 4.
Yeah, G2 just have like the G2 picks now. I feel like, they've got their Kog'Maw Braum tech, which looks really good. Now they've got their Kled into Renekton tech. They've got, I don't know, so many, like the Caps Nico, it just feels like something you always have to cover off.
Yep.
I think they're just annoying to draft against. But that game 4, I think G2 should have lost.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying.
That game should have been
we literally
lost.
just saw them outfight. Like we were watching behind the stage and we're like, G2 should lose, and then it's like, but they're just better.
I don't know how they won that game. I feel like BDS blundered around the Drake fight as well, but they have double AD carry, Tristana Zeri. They're both 3-0. They both get the 2 items so incredibly quickly.
Yep.
And wait, I'm going to bring up G2's comp because I just feel like their champs were just so good into G2's that I was just surprised that this game was
Trundle,
even.
Poppy, Poppy for Broken Blade, Trundle for Yike, Nico for Caps.
Yeah, it
Kai'Sa
was
for
Adam
Ansama.
Jax that was really far behind. Yeah, now I remember. And it was just double AD carry with Rakan Maokai. I don't know. I mean, G2's comp has like really good disruption. Like Rakan can't get in. They have knockups, they have pillars, they have hooks, they have Nautilus ults. And I mean, BDS don't really have that much. They just have Maokai, Rakan, which is kind of negated. But double AD carry is the strongest and highest DPS you can get in the game on a front to back.
Yep.
And so I always just kind of sat there like, how are they losing these fights? Like I think there was a mid fight or something where they all each had like 3 kills, 4 kills, or a Herald fight. But there was one top fight that BB smurfed the whole game, where he like flanked them when they were losing the top fight, came in, ulted away the Tristana and killed the Zeri and gave a shutdown to Hans. And that right there
shutdown was
a huge
insane.
turnaround.
Yeah, because they're at the point where especially AP Kai'Sa got hit on this patch, and specifically the evolved Q ratio. But like at this stage of the game, when he got that shutdown and started to get real meaningful items, he finally crossed that threshold where he could just ult in on any one of the individual AD carries and one-shot them.
Yeah.
And that's like the dream.
Yeah, Hansama's last fight as well was pretty clean. Like his movement was...
It was so funny because that game he had the fight where he just like walked in and died for no reason. And then he also had the fight where he just absolutely just popped off.
But I think my MVP for that series was BB. I don't know. I think BB had such an insane series. Like Adam was basically nullified. And Adam went back to his style of like roaming around the map, trying to salvage things and trying to force things. But BB on the Kled was perfect, I think. His Poppy counter pick, I think, won them the game. As much as Hansama had the damage numbers and the kills.
No, I mean it was the super aggressive engages. It was the super good calls. I mean that's why it felt like G2 were dancing around him. Some of it was the difference in tools that they had available. But even with BDS having that significant gold lead, it's like when G2 pulled the trigger, people died every time
Yep.
consistently. And you saw, especially some of those last fights, again, the one around Baron Pit, blue side jungle near the blue buff, where like Sheo's they're burning everything to try and kill Mickey, you know, and then they realize their backline's exposed and they're trying to recover. Great, honestly, really entertaining game. If you're gonna watch one game from that series, I think Game 4 is the game to watch, unless you're an Evelyn jungler, because then you can, and you're into,
do you want to know something funny?
Being depressed, then you can watch Game 2.
You want to know something funny?
Sure.
So Renekton,
Yep,
as a champ, is picked a lot. Okay. Now I'm going to give you some numbers here. Okay, in the LPL playoffs, he was 11-9, 55% win rate, and so the LPL playoffs were first.
Yep.
And I think everyone looked at that and was like, Renekton's strong. Okay, John, some follow-up stats.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's look at the LPL regional finals. It went 1-6. Okay, that was the qualifiers to Worlds.
Yep.
LCK playoffs, 2-9. What do you think it is in the LEC right now?
Has it won a game? It's probably won a game, right? Probably like 1 and something, 2
in
and
the
something.
LEC finals right now, it's 0-5. So it's across LCK playoffs, LPL regionals, and LEC. Renekton's win rate is a single digit. It's probably like 7 or 8% if you average all of that out.
Why is it always
over the
Renekton?
course of like 20 games?
How is it always Renekton? Since the days of LS complaining about blind Renekton, how is it always Renekton?
I don't know. It's absurdly like low win rate, and I don't want to be a stats like overvalue the stats. Yeah, overvalue it, but like my god, that is horrible.
Well, it certainly raises
and
the
when
question.
I watch the games, like Poppy into it looks easy, Gnar just looks like it nullifies it, like Aatrox looks 10 times stronger on the 13-14 patch, tanks into it look more useful, and the only time I've ever seen Renekton really do work was the LPL playoffs, you know, where he's like single-handedly disrupting their entire backline, healing through their damage, and threatening a flash on a carry to disengage.
I feel like Renekton is sometimes in that camp of champions that people overvalue. I assume because of scrims. Maybe it's just because of the results that they watch in other leagues like the LPL. But we talk about Nidalee all the time. Clear scrim pick. And I think a lot of the times when people look at Renekton as this safe, reliable, blind pick, whatever, I think he can fall into that same bucket where it's like, clearly you're getting something out of him in scrims that we're not seeing on stage, because you can call him safe, sure, but like when the enemy team gets to counterpick and lose lane a little bit and then be way more relevant in team fights, is that really a safe blind pick? Like, is that really safe?
I don't know. I just feel like there's...
It's fine. It survives. Sometimes it does more.
Yeah. I just feel like he does fine in lane, gets a small lead, rocks up the team fights, and it's like the flip of the coin. Does Renekton flash in, get a stun, and one-shot someone, or does he just die?
And
if he just dies, that's it. The Renekton's he's just on the back foot the whole series.
Like, if you look at the other champions that are strong in the meta, they're so good at disrupting what he wants to do. Poppy, Rel, Ivern, Tristana, like all Taliyah, all the 100% presence champions, and Poppy, just because she's our favorite or my favorite right now, like make Renekton's life impossible. Yeah. So is it really a safe blind? Is it really a grid blind? Like, maybe it is. I don't play enough top lane to know. Maybe it feels like for laning at least the most reliable blind you can go for.
Yeah.
But certainly it is not winning games.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now.
Maybe we can ask. We have top lane friends. Odo, BB, let us know.
So it's 3-20 across LPL regionals, LCK playoffs, and LEC right now. 3-20. That is like crazy.
I don't like it. I don't hate Renekton. I'm not a Renekton hater. I just like, in this context, seems not great.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I used to be a Renekton lover. You know, I was like, Renekton's OP. I know when I was a pro.
Like, when he's good, he's really
really good. But nowadays, I'm just like, I just feel like it's just such a common occurrence where I just see this champ just go into fights and just die so quickly, and I'm just...
Yeah. Sometimes it buys time, heals 1,000,000 health, and like 2v1s, and sometimes it does nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the Gnars of the world, and the Aatroxes, and you know, GP was cropping up, and Jax, and Poppy Top, and stuff like that.
I never thought I'd say this, but bring back the GP. I miss the barrel chains. Barrel chains are
as much
sick
as
to cast.
It brings back European nightmares, it's also like...
Before we were getting barreled
to oblivion.
By Bin to oblivion, we enjoyed some barrels domestically. It wasn't always traumatic for us. It's changed a lot over time.
Doran was playing GP.
Hell yeah, baby.
So he's got that up his sleeve. I think he like griefed it early, but then he just got so many kills. Like he ulted. I remember I think he died, got solo killed, or like he got died to like 2 ganks back to back. I can't remember which series it was. I think it was Gen GT on the first round. And then he pressed ult bot. 3 assists.
I just realized in our litany of tangents, we have spent a lot of time talking about these first 2 series. I think we should look ahead, because we're in unprecedented territory here, or unpredicted territory, because we all thought Excel was going to win.
Oh yeah, there's 2 more spots for a world's possible
There's 2
qualifier.
more spots. So reminder, Excel and Mad, Mad and G2 have both qualified not only for Montpellier, they're guaranteed top 3, which means also that they cannot play the 4th seed Worlds qualifying match versus Golden Guardians.
Yep.
So they made Worlds, they made Montpellier, they've made top 3 for seeds and top 3 for the season finals. Same thing. Now we're in a position where BDS dropped down, kind of as expected, but Excel also dropped down. And now we're going to watch BDS versus SK is going to be an interesting series.
BDS SK winner can go to Worlds.
Winner goes to Worlds.
Tell me that last year.
That's top 4. That's insane.
Tell me that last year.
But also, the series that I find more interesting right now, no offense to BDS and SK, is XL Fnatic, because Fnatic, obviously a historic organization that is a roster that is filled with people who attended Worlds and who have done things at Worlds-ish. Versus Excel, who have been surging. Trimby versus Odo is an interesting story, but I don't think they really have beef or anything, so I'm not going to try to oversell it to you. But I thought Excel and Fnatic would go to Worlds, to be honest with you. So now I'm like, only one may survive. And this is the series that I really have my eye on, because Excel looked a little lost. And last time we saw Fnatic, they were getting whooped by Excel. That series was not close. They were losing everything, every early game. Oh my God.
Yeah, everything looks really messy, didn't it? And that's like, it's ironic, because if you go back and you look at like the game 4 Excel win, you're like, they were playing as Zero Ivern.
Yeah.
And now you look at this in the Mad Lions series and they're playing as Zero Ivern, they're getting wins. I don't know, it's so hard to think, because if I was to look at the XL Mad Lions series, I would say 2 of those games would draft, 1 of them was a throw.
Yep.
And if those 2 things I think are easily fixable, and you have a week to fix it. I feel like the time you have in our season finals, to like turn things around,
it's
pretty good. It's not like rigorous. It's not like, okay, you're playing in 2 days. Okay, well, we're screwed.
Yeah.
You know, you've got an entire week to figure it out. So I think XL should come into the series as the favorite still, even though they lost to Mad Lions, in my opinion at least. I think Mad Lions did really well. I think they definitely shouldn't have won that game too, and I think their drafts were just so heavily favored to win the game.
Yeah.
If XL can fix up their drafts, but then again, the counter flip side, that is, Fnatic have now seen 3 games of XL. Fnatic haven't played for weeks on end and have everything they want up their sleeve. So XL are kind of going in blind. So Fnatic winning the first or second game wouldn't surprise me at all. But I mean, it's always stakes. You know, if XL I think XL beating Fnatic last time locked them season finals, didn't it?
Yeah.
Now winner XL Fnatic locks them. Why does it always cause so many stakes? Locks them to Worlds. You know, even that series, if Fnatic beat XL, didn't Koi lock as well?
Sorry, locks them for World. We should say, I keep looking at World qualifying series as Worlds.
Yeah, me
technically
too.
It's not, but
yeah, me too.
Regardless, it gets them 4th. It locks them a Worlds seed.
G2 and Mad are locked.
Yeah, they're locked. They're going to Worlds.
It's just the winner of these 2 next series this weekend. So one of them will be our 4th place team against Golden Guardians, which will be interesting. That'll be really interesting. As much as people get excited for like some of the hypest best of 5s ever, you know, the T1 JDGs, I think 4th place EUNA sounds hella good.
Bro, you can go and you can watch the highest level of boxing, or you can go to r/street. I don't know if the subreddit exists, and if it's problematic, I'm sorry. You can go to wherever you watch street fights online.
Yeah, just see.
You go to World Star. You know what I mean? And sometimes. I've seen a lot of MMA.
Yeah.
And some of those fights suck.
Yeah.
Some of those fights are super one-sided. So sometimes
you just gotta get a pub brawl.
Yeah, the pub brawl.
Everyone's throwing glasses.
You know, sometimes the pub brawl is better.
That's the 4th place pub brawl right there. So I mean, SK, BDS, Fnatic, XL, one of those teams will face against Golden Guardians. I did say last week that I think I had like this random feeling that SK is going to Worlds, and I still have it.
You think they're gonna beat BDS?
I still have this feeling that SK is going to Worlds. I don't know why. It came to me.
You're holding on to that.
I'm holding on to it. I'll ride the ship to the ground. You know, I feel like a lot of my predictions this year, the opposites happened, and that's actually quite funny. I enjoyed that a lot. I'll never forget the Damwon EDG World Finals when I'm on desk and I'm like, Damwon 3-0, and then EDG 1-3-2, and I was just like, ooh. But yeah, I don't know. I still have the sneaking suspicion of SK going to Worlds, but the XL Fnatic one is definitely, as much as I have my SK bias right now in my blood. The XL Fnatic one definitely feels like the higher level, higher stakes games based on expectations,
Well,
right?
and
Fnatic
certainly
every
based
year,
on, I mean, if you look at Summer,
yeah.
that's their second and third best team. Whereas if you look at Summer for BDS and SK, they were
But also, like, Fnatic,
rough.
when was the last time Fnatic missed Worlds?
I know, right? That's what makes that series so
and if
crazy
they lose
to me.
this series, they're out. And then XL just finished second and almost beat G2. So surely they'll go to Worlds as well, right? But now only one of them goes to Worlds, which is, I think, a lot of, it's a lot of, I don't know, there can be a lot of debate around that, where it's like, will EU succeed without Fnatic at Worlds? Because, you know, this roster looks good and they've had high highs. And then, well, without XL, which is our second place team from Summer, in terms of recency skill level, that just means that is Mad Lions, how good are Mad Lions? You know, they just reeled them. Is Mad Lions against G2 in the week after going to be competitive? If that isn't, then
yeah, for the season finals, I know. I'm really hoping we get like a banger between Mad Lions and G2. That's not happening this week, by the way.
The
That is the
LCS
week
Finals
after.
was hype.
The LCS Finals slapped. Shout out to the shout out to the broadcast team. Shout out to the casters. Cat and Flowers is always killing it, but everybody did great. Rafa played Silver Scrapes. It was cool. Like if you missed that series, crazy.
That was a cool series. Good storylines.
Great storylines.
Yeah.
Did you see the Travis Gafford bit where he was taking Palafox around and no one knew who he was?
Oh, I saw that. Was a year ago or something, wasn't it?
Sad and funny.
I think it's just, not to go too off topic, but it's just funny. I've seen so many tweets from like people saying like Palafox tweeted recently that he was in a scrim. Not Palafox, I think it was Bob Quinn, some mid laner in the name, said that he was scrimming against Palafox, and one of the coaches said, yeah, sorry, buddy, we're not going to take you in these tryouts. The fact that you're losing to Palafox is pathetic. Like, how dare you even like go even/behind against such a bad player?
Damn.
And like the amount of flack that these players got to then win a title, you know, it's just the biggest like middle finger to everyone.
Bit of a side, but like, you know, I thought their opening ceremony was cool. I thought that the show was great, and ultimately I loved the storyline of their finals. Like, it was really, their last weekend was dope. Especially because normally...
Wait, that means, is NRG the first seed?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's crazy.
That's
right?
crazy cool.
That could
imagine
happen
being
to
a
us.
first seed going into
Bro,
Worlds.
that's so
You're
cool
just
for
like,
those guys. And also, I just like, I don't know, maybe the best of 5, once we play the world qualifying series, the GG versus whoever we send, all my EU NA rivalry will feel reignited.
Bro,
but right now, I'm just kind of happy for the players. It's just sick for them.
Yeah, I'll be pumped for that. But anyway, back to the whole LEC thing. I think my main point of like, I feel like every week I say, if this team wins this, then we'll know more. But the thing is, everyone in the LEC has been beating everyone for the last 8 months in a row, and it's just so hard to gauge who's going to win a series at this point.
We still have not seen Fnatic and SK play in a very long time.
Yeah,
We've not seen SK play in forever.
Even in the last few weeks. G2, XL, 5 games. Let's go to the finals. Destroyed. Mad Lions, look trash. XL, destroyed. You know? G2, BDS, probably one-sided. BDS looked like they should have won the 4th game, and they did take a game. XL Fnatic last time they faced, XL won quite handily. You know, it was a 3-1. And they showed differences to what they're showing now. And now I tell you, like, XL Fnatic this time around, you know, and you're like, oh, it's so hard to call every series, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, so much depends on draft, as we've seen in the previous series, like how ready they are, how much the read is on the meta. I'm excited because, you know, I think when Fnatic were doing well against XL, it was the Razork Poppy game, and I hope we see more Razork on these really proactive champions. I think that Yamato talked about it last week as well, like Fnatic getting a winning bot lane is so key for them, but it has not been simple for teams in the big band thus far to get everything that they want. Really, that series I'm curious about. I think BDS SK is actually a pretty comparable matchup. The thing I will say is that I think like I have a lot more faith in Labrov Crowny right now than I do in Exodus. Like I think that's going to be the biggest difference.
I think Exodus, well, mostly DOS really struggled in that final game. I remember the Rakan where like I think the game was in SK's hands, and then everything just kind of like fell apart. And then like Irrelevant was playing Sion, and he died like 6 times in a row or something to just straight up ganks. And I don't know. I think SK is just the Marcoon show sometimes.
Yeah.
And the meta is kinda okay for that Marcoon show if it wants to happen.
But I agree that it's only okay.
Yeah.
Ivern is much more of like an enabler. And obviously as a champion you can take over a game, but it's through your teammates that it usually does so, especially after the changes.
I feel like Irrelevant came in as this top laner where everyone was saying that this guy is just really, really good at going even in bad matchups. Like he was so good at playing weak side and like so good at making sure that if enemy gets counterpicked top, that he doesn't fall behind, and very conscious of when the teams can make a play on him, which I think is very beneficial against BDS, because either 2 things will happen with BDS. 1, he's playing Darius or Olaf, and he's going to run at you non-stop, and you need to make sure you don't give top deficit. Or 2, he's just going to go missing and run mid or bot, and you need to make sure you can punish that. I feel like playing champions like Gnar is really good into that because, it's just such a safe champion to do it. Or, if he wants to play Ornn and match those roams, that also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So my eyes on top always, I feel like, when it comes to BDS. I feel like BDS showed a lot in their series. Double AD carry. They really liked double AD carry.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's the thing that, that's one of the reasons that I actually feel good about BDS is it feels like similar to Spring. Again, they found a winning formula. Unsurprisingly, that formula does involve scaling as it did in Spring. But the fact that they can play that and it's good in the meta right now, I think is a huge boon for them.
Yeah, I think Zeri will be super high prio. And I also wonder if I'm SK, actually, and I'm coming into this game 1 prepared, I would actually take a page out of G2XL book and play a Kalista game. As much as, we saw Kalista struggle against Poppy, if I'm Exakick DOS and I'm playing Kalista Alistar against BDS bot lane, and, it's a last pick Alistar or something, or Braum's banned away, and you actually have a good matchup, and you're giving them Rakan or something, and Markoon can play bot side, I think you're brute forcing your way to like a game 1 win. So I'm curious to see if SK want to pull out the Kalista card.
I do feel like it's on SK to open up the game and play something more aggressive because I think when it comes down to scaling, if it comes down to scaling, and it's a lot more about matching.
I think BDS wins.
I think BDS wins every time.
Yeah, I think scaling BDS just straight up wins.
That's clearly their comfort zone. I think they're good at it. I think Adam can make really good plays in the late game. I think Nuke is most reliable on a late game champion, I think. And it's just like, Certus does like assassins. Maybe he can disrupt it, but I agree. I think bot lane is big. And if they can use bot lane to make Markoon an even bigger threat, that feels like the best avenue of attack.
Yeah, agreed. And then for the XL Fnatic series, I don't even know where to begin because I feel like every lane is so important. But if I'm Fnatic, it's just Razork. I feel like Razork's done so much this year or since the changes to Fnatic.
Yeah.
To if you look at old Fnatic, their early games used to be Razork doing nothing or them just losing lanes and him having no options. The Wunder Reckless area of just being like, which lane do I play for? I don't have anything to play for.
Everyone's trying to lose gracefully, and so it's like, I need one of you guys to win.
Yeah, and you're just running around putting out fires. But now he actually has lanes to play through, and I feel like his side lanes are options. Oscar's shown a lot of flexibility. We've seen like Jax Rumble. We've also seen like Ornn. So the flexibility in top's really important. And then it's just a case of like, ever since the loss of Aphelios, I feel like Noah's been struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I think the Zeri was also good for him, and it's obviously like their priority pick once the bigger meta picks get taken away, as we expect them to. The Xayah especially, the Kai'Sa, less consistently banned, but not as high priority as it used to be, Bramy.
Yeah. Just like the Varuses and the Ezreals, I'm just like, I really like to scout a hyper carry. Like on hit, hyper carry, let him show off his
tricky because
mechanics.
it feels like both halves of their bot lane got hit pretty hard over the last few patches. Trimby back on engaged champions, which again, like he's just better at ranged champions. It's clearly just better for the team when that's the kind of setup, and Razor can be the one kind of calling for engages. I think he's still solid, but when it comes to like really big late game fights, Limit good.
Limit very good.
At melee champs.
Limit very good at
They're
melee
almost
champs.
inverse in that way, where it's like, Limit can play ranged champs, but like...
Although I do think in that XL Mad series, Limit's lane phase was abysmal. Like, he was going in at terrible times. He was losing his flash for no reason. Like, Limit team fights, good. Limit versus Mad Lions lane phase, bad.
Yeah, credit to Carziola saying without actually having pro view of the entire lane phase, it looked a lot like Limit making a lot of mistakes, but I didn't see all the context leading up. But
and so you like contrast that to Fnatic, where Trimby's all like two things for meta are I think important for Fnatic. One, their meta read against XL the first time wasn't a fan. They were still playing things like they were still leaning into Annie, and they were still playing things like Kindred, and they were trying to pull off these Rumble comps. And
it feels like they're reticent to let go of old picks. Like, they don't want to just let go of old picks and move on to something new sometimes. And I just don't think you can afford that at this stage.
Yeah. And like Rumble Trundle, for example, like Rumble Trundle Braum. I'm sitting there like, okay, I have Rumble top and I'm playing with Trundle Braum. And as much as I'm against like Nautilus Sejuani, so I get the support jungle in isolation. Like, we can super hard win through bot. We didn't. And now what does my Rumble do? I have no setup for Rumble. Nothing for team fights. They have Gwen, Ezreal, LeBlanc. My Rumble is not hitting anyone. So I feel like meta read will be important. Fnatic have had a lot of time to figure out their meta read. And the second thing in terms of meta, I think they might struggle with, because that's a plus side. They've got a lot of information now. Bad side is the Trimby engaged support situation. Like the Rakan, big fan.
Yeah. His Rakan is always.
But right now, Alistar, Rel are first rotation champs, and
also,
you need to flex
Poppy
Rel
in the meta again. I think Poppy is so good.
So I think his Rel will be decent. His Alistar, haven't been a fan yet, so I think Rel will be like his flavor.
A lot of people grief on Alistar. I feel like Alistar's one of those picks where like,
yeah,
I don't expect it to be a pick where you get to see skill expression a lot, but like, there's a big difference in the amount of unnecessary deaths between a good and a bad Alistar.
Yeah, you can see it in fights. I know Alistar can be played in so many ways, can't it? So
yeah,
I don't know. It's crazy to me still that you can sit here and say, hey, BDS SK winner has a chance to go to Worlds. Like they'll be in a Worlds qualifying match, which they'll be in an international event.
Yeah,
right.
But you say
and
it like
you go to the start of the year and you tell me, oh yeah, Heretics has like Yankos and they're bringing over Ebby and now and Vitality, they're a super team. You know, they're a super team. And I'm just sitting there like, cool. So it's BDS SK. Yeah. Wow. Props to them.
Yeah.
Super props to them.
What's even crazier is that like when we were coming out of the split, I was like sad that Astralis weren't going to be here.
Yeah, Astralis was fun to watch.
Like, damn, Astralis is sick.
I mean,
sucks for Astralis.
I just feel like every team that brings in leader, you're just like, it's going to be a shit fest.
Bro, why you got to do leader like that?
No, leader's my homie. It's not in a bad way, but like mid lane is like a magnet to everyone else.
Yeah.
Because I've played with leader and I can tell you, leader's comms is like, I can all in here. I can all in here. I like this wave, I can all in. This wave, I can all in. And I'm just like, it's stressful. I'm like, okay, I'm coming.
But you just fell into the trap.
So
you couldn't help it. You just started talking about leader. Same way that you think teams are going to start going. It's just...
They just stay hand in hand.
Everyone... Yeah.
Anyway, here's my trophy after winning with leader.
This is... for all of you who have stayed for 70 minutes or so of us rambling about nonsense, here's your reward.
Yeah. It was for you all along.
We
weren't going to give it to anyone.
Of this moment in the podcast, if you're in YouTube.
And crop this out and print it out.
Crop this trophy
3D.
out. Add it to your X banner. Because I don't think we're allowed to call
today's
it Twitter
podcast,
anymore.
we've got no guest.
The trophy was our guest.
The trophy was our guest.
Nostalgia was our guest.
Yeah.
And a lack of being able to stay on topic for more than 10 minutes. Those were our guests. And the Shy jersey, which is a very special guest.
Very special guest. Is he in the room with us right now?
He's like the Holy Spirit. He's always here. You know what I mean?
Where is he?
Where isn't he? The Shy is everywhere at all the time. That's why he just sometimes ints in games. Is his consciousness is just somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know?
Basically,
he exists. It's like everything everywhere all at once. He exists in all of the timelines simultaneously.
Can we get the 2018 Aatrox the Shy? Yes, win game 1. Can we get the 2022 the Shy?
Yeah.
Yes, he's griefing.
Yeah, it's just it's tough.
He's in everywhere.
He's an omnipotent being.
Yeah.
Almost, except that he can only be in one realm at a time. It's actually a very compelling hero story. You're going to hear about it in the future. The feature team's going to do a bit on it.
I can't wait.
Breaking the rules of time and space.
I can't wait.
At all times. Last thing, predictions. Mark. So reminder, G2 and Mad, we are not going to see that until the following week. This weekend will be BDS versus SK on Saturday, XL versus Fnatic on Sunday. Normal starting times. We started earlier, make sure that no one was going to be missing out on any LCS Finals. Now we are starting normal time. That is 6 p.m. Berlin time. I don't know if it's CET or CEST. Feels like summer, so I'm going to say CEST, but...
When does summer end? 21st September, I think.
I don't know, bro.
21st August?
The sun could go away, though. That would be great. Or just back it up, like whatever the amount of...
Back it up, tear it!
Back it up, tear!
Someone will get that reference.
Someone will.
Someone out there. Predictions. I think the opposite's going to happen, but I'm going to say SKXL.
SKXL. Yeah, that feels wrong. I respect that you're going with your gut. BDS definitely feels like the safe bet for me. XL Fnatic I actually think is very hard.
Yep.
I'm going to give it to Fnatic because of plot armor.
So one of us is right.
And so one of us is right.
Hell yeah. That's how we cover this in EUphoria podcast.
That's right.
We make sure we got each other's
Someone's always
back.
correct. That's why we both put BDS in S tier.
So when you guys go to the comments and you say you always get it wrong, who? Because one of us is always right.
One of us is always correct.
So it's
we covered
50-50.
all of our bases.
Yeah.
Putting 50 on black and 50 on red.
Yeah,
what
so
now?
we won nothing.
Vegas?
Yeah. 5-head. Oh crap, it's 0. We just lost both.
We're stupid. Anyway,
we're pretty stupid.
This has been EUphoria, episode 21, season 11.
Yeah.
Shout out to the trophy. Shout out to the Shy. Shout out to all of you who stuck around for this crazy, zany episode. Let us know if you want us to talk about any other subjects. We'll have a guest for next week, I'm sure. We can talk to them.
Surely.
But if there's any subjects you feel like we're not hitting or anyone you think we're not giving recognition to, let us know in the YouTube comments. See if we can just get you guys to fight each other.
Yeah.
Down there.
The tribunal begins.
Yeah. Also, still playing Baldur's Gate. Still great. Armored Core out in 2 days. Shout out to FromSoft. Shout out to Childhood Nostalgia. There's a lot of great games to play right now. Between League of Legends and all the other
I'm just grinding
ones.
solo queue, bro. Gotta get Challenger by Worlds. I mean, I'll have it next week.
Yeah, you
By
will. No
by
problem.
by not
No
next
problem.
week's episode of Euphoria, the week after, I'll be challenger.
You be a challenger?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what are we betting? What are we betting? This is such a great bet. No, we can't bet the trophy. Neither of us actually own this trophy.
Oh God, what are we betting? I don't know. It's
I will
gonna
bet against you gladly.
be- Whoa! It's gonna
You're
be-
playing on stream. You are so much better
I'm
when you
playing
play
off
off.
stream sometimes too.
Okay, it's still not. It's not as good of a deal.
I don't know what to bet. I'm
Um,
not a good results better guy.
you have to do an entire ready check.
No, I don't know if I'm on analyst desk.
I don't know where you're at.
I think I'm.
I don't know what we're
casting.
doing in Montpellier. You have to do an entire game in Montpellier in 3-inch heels.
Wait, what do you have to do?
The same thing.
3-inch heels?
Yeah.
Well, no one's really gonna see that. Or do I have to walk around the whole?
I mean, because to me, it's I have no problem if you want to wear heels. It's not that I think that heels
I feel like
are
the
innately
walking
funny.
part, I'll probably
It's
injure
the
myself.
misery that it comes with walking around in
Yeah,
heels.
walking around, I would injure myself 100%. I've never walked in heels before. I feel like I would just fall over and.
The real
break my
challenge would be what
ankles.
if you did one of those obstacle courses in 3-inch heels?
Why don't we come to an agreement
There
next?
are people in the world who can do it
What obstacle course
in 3-inch heels. Yeah,
What if there's grass? Don't the heels like sink into the grass
probably.
and then you're like stuck
Listen, all I know is that
like the lightsaber that never.
women who
stops
wear
falling?
heels all the time and drag queens who wear heels all the time, very good at walking in heels. It's like superpower. It's crazy to me.
I can barely walk, let alone in heels.
We're
I'm
gonna
gonna start
find a
running
bet.
on heels on my
Tell you what,
treadmill to
we'll
practice.
decide. We'll think of the bet punishment
Yeah,
because we have 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Next week,
'Kay.
we'll do an ELO check-in.
Elo check-in.
Let us know what you think the bet should be.
Yeah, what the loser should do.
What the loser should do. Betting against Caedrel making it to Challenger. If you want to watch that adventure, twitch.tv.
And if you want to join in and be a doubter, feel free. If you want to be a believer, join in. Let's
Follow
make this a worldwide bet.
And in classic Euphoria fashion, this has been our rambling outro. Rambling outro over.
It's not
See
my
you
fault.
guys next week. No, it's my fault. It is your fault. It's our fault. We're a team. It's your
We're a
fault,
team.
audience. Fair, we
Farewell.
love you anyway.
Have we
Goodbye.
done the outro? Bye bye.